how do you protect yourself from threats you can't even see, from whispers that seem to just get right into your deepest thoughts? Today, we're doing a deep dive into Surah An-Nas. It's the very last chapter, the final one in the Quran.
That's right.
And we're drawing on quite a few different lectures and analyses to really unpack the meaning here.
Yeah, there are so many rich layers.
Absolutely. It's short, but it feels incredibly mighty, doesn't it?
It really does. Packs a punch.
So our mission today is to explore its, let's say, linguistic beauty, the connections it has within the Quran itself, and importantly, the practical lessons, how it acts as this powerful shield against, unseen harms and even our own internal struggles. Okay, so let's unpack this. Surah An-Nas sits right at the very, very end of the Quran. That placement, that can't just be a coincidence, can it? Why is that so significant?
Oh, it's hugely significant. Its position tells us quite a lot, actually, especially when we look at it with the two surahs right before it.
Al-Ikhlas and Al-Falaq.
Exactly. Al-Ikhlas defines Allah's pure oneness, right? And then Al-Falaq is all about seeking protection from external evils.
Yeah.
Things happening outside of us.
Okay.
Then comes An-Nas, and it shifts the focus. It's about protection from the evils that can creep inside you, right into your chest.
Ah, okay. So an internal focus.
Precisely. Think of it like this, maybe. Surah Al-Falaq is like your spiritual coat, protecting you from the wind and rain outside.
Right.
Surah An-Nas, though, that's like taking internal medicine, something to strengthen you against weaknesses within.
Yeah.
It's the ultimate inside-out defense system, really.
That's a great analogy, the internal medicine. That makes a lot of sense. And, the surah specifically talks about seeking refuge from whispers in the chests of people, not just their hearts. That feels like a subtle distinction, but maybe quite profound.
It is. It really is.
Yeah.
The Arabic word sadr, or chest, it refers to that whole inner space, the entire area.
Okay.
Whereas the heart, that's the core spiritual entity within that space.
Right, the center.
Yeah. Imagine your heart is like a fortified castle. It's locked down.
Okay.
The chest, the sadr, is the open land around the castle. The grounds, maybe the outer walls.
I see.
Now, Shaitan, he has access to that chest area. He can hover there, explore, probe. He's constantly looking for a weakness, like an open window or an unlocked gate.
But not inside the castle itself.
Not directly into the qalb, no. Not unless you effectively open the gates for him. And this really highlights an incredible mercy from Allah, doesn't it? He doesn't give Shaitan direct control over our core being.
That's reassuring.
It is, but it also puts a significant responsibility squarely on us. We have to guard that outer perimeter, that chest area.
And you mentioned before we started, it's not just jinn doing the whispering. That's where it feels like it gets really insidious.
Exactly right. These whispers, this waswasa, it's not exclusively from jinn. Human beings can be potent vehicles for these whispers, too. Well, think about the constant stream of propaganda we encounter. Deliberate misinformation online. Or even just, hurtful words from someone that just stick with you. They linger like a shadow in your mind.
Yeah, that happens.
Those things can become Shaitan's instruments. They permeate your inner space, your sadr, making you doubt or feel discouraged, or maybe even leading you down the wrong path.
Wow.
So it's not just about guarding against unseen entities. It's about being incredibly discerning, incredibly mindful about what we allow to enter our minds and influence us from any source, human or otherwise.
Okay, so with all these subtle attacks, these whispers from different sources, what's our ultimate defense mechanism here? This short surah mentions 3 really incredible names of Allah. How do they sort of arm us for this battle?
That's the core of the protection strategy in the surah. It calls upon Allah using 3 magnificent names specifically for refuge: Rab, Malik, and Ilah.
Rab, Malik, Ilah. Yeah, okay.
Let's start with Rab. It's often translated as Lord or Master or Owner, but it's so much richer than that. Rab implies the one with absolute authority, yes, but also the one who actively nurtures you, ensures your growth. That's tarbiyah. The one who sets things right, who guides, who showers gifts, and is the fundamental reason for everything's continuous existence.
So it's much more active than just owner.
Oh, much more. Think of the ultimate divine CEO who doesn't just own the company, but is actively involved in developing the employees, protecting the assets, ensuring constant thriving growth. It's deeply relational.
That's powerful.
And it's so fundamental that this is the very first name Allah used to introduce himself to both Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and Prophet Musa, peace be upon him.
Wow, okay. And the other 2, Malik and Allah.
Right. Then we have Malik, the king, the sovereign.
Right.
This points to Allah's absolute dominion, his ultimate power, his justice.
His ultimate authority.
Exactly. And finally, Allah the God, the deity, the sole object of all worship, all devotion, the one to whom we completely surrender.
Rab, Malik, Ilah. Lord, King, God.
Yes. And what's fascinating is how human psychology often works when we seek help.
What do you mean?
Well, often we first turn to those who take care of our immediate needs, right?
Yeah.
Like parents or maybe a boss, people who function a bit like a rab in our lives.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Then, if the problem gets bigger, we might go to higher authorities, rulers, governments, the Malik figures.
Right.
And only usually as a last resort, when everything else fails, do people tend to turn fully to God, the Ilah.
I see that pattern.
But the Quran, here in Surah Anas, flips that completely on its head. It teaches us, no, turn to Allah for everything, right from the very beginning. Invoke Him as Rab, Malik, and Ilah for protection against these whispers.
Don't wait until it's the last resort.
Exactly. He encompasses all levels of authority and care from the start.
You know, thinking about those three names, Rab, Malik, Ilah, it immediately brings to mind Pharaoh, in the Quran. He explicitly declared himself to be Rab, Malik, and Ilah. That's a really chilling parallel, isn't it?
It's an incredibly insightful connection, yes. Pharaoh's monumental arrogance, which was definitely stoked by Shaitan, led him to try and usurp these divine attributes for himself. He set himself up as the ultimate master, the ultimate king, the ultimate god for his people.
So if that's what Shaitan can encourage on such a grand historical scale, does that mean maybe we can sometimes become like little mini pharaohs in our own lives, maybe without even realizing it?
That's a very sharp observation, absolutely. We might not be building pyramids or demanding worship, obviously, but that subtle manifestation of the same arrogance, it's definitely something Shaitan tries to instill.
How would that look?
Well, when individuals start acting like they are their own absolute masters,
Yeah.
Their own kings over their little domains, their family, their work, their opinions, or, maybe more commonly, when they allow their own desires, their hawa, to become their ultimate authority, their ilah, what they want becomes their god.
Letting desires rule.
That's the quiet internal Pharaoh emerging. It's arguably Shaitan's most potent and subtle trick, feeding that ego, that sense of self-sufficiency.
Okay, so how does the Surah counter that specific tendency?
That's where the very first word is so crucial. Qul. Say. Yes, it's a direct command from Allah. Declare your need for refuge. Say, I seek refuge in the Lord of mankind, the King of mankind, the God of mankind.
So vocalizing it is important.
Critically important. This act of speaking it, of declaring your dependence, your need for Allah as Rab, Malik, and Ilah, it immediately crushes that budding ego. It demolishes that potential mini Pharaoh inside.
It's an act of humility.
It is an act of humility. It signals total surrender, total acknowledgement of who is truly in charge. And that act of obedience is what opens the door to Allah's genuine protection.
And what about the repetition of anas, mankind, or people after each name?
That's beautiful too, isn't it? Repeating anas after Rab, Malik, and Ilah. It just emphasizes Allah's immense care and concern for human beings. It's like He's saying, I am the Lord of mankind, the King of mankind, the God of mankind. It also suggests, subtly, a broadening scope of his care over all people in all these capacities.
Okay, let's pivot slightly to the source of the trouble itself. The surah names the whisperer al-waswas al-khannas. Can you break down what those terms mean?
Yeah, these are very specific descriptions. Al-waswas doesn't just mean whisperer. The structure of the word implies something continuous, repetitive, insidious. It's constant evil whispering.
Not just a one-off suggestion.
No, it's relentless. And then al-khannas. This word means the one who retreats, withdraws, or hides, specifically when Allah is remembered.
So he backs off when we remember God.
Yes, but here's the kicker. The word khannas also implies someone who does this retreating repeatedly, only to come back again. He retreats when you remember Allah, but the moment you become heedless, boom, he relentlessly returns.
So he never really gives up.
Never. It shows Shaitan's utterly obsessive, persistent nature. His primary weapon, his offense, is the waswas, the whispering. His defense, when confronted with remembrance, is to khannas, to withdraw temporarily, only to circle back and try again.
That khannas aspect is fascinating, the way he retreats and returns. So how does this waswas, this constant whispering, actually play out in our daily lives? What are Shaitan's main tactics?
Well, his game plan is pretty cunning and pervasive. The imagery is often that he positions himself sort of strategically, almost hovering above or near the human heart, waiting.
Waiting for what?
Waiting for moments when we become heedless, forgetful, distracted. That's when he whispers his suggestions, his doubts, his temptations.
And when we remember Allah.
The moment we bring Allah to mind, Mektirik, he retreats. But, like we said, he's always lurking nearby, ready for the next opportunity.
And it's not just thoughts popping into our heads. You mentioned he uses vehicles.
Yes, that's critical. It's not always direct, ethereal whispers. He very often uses vehicles. And that includes, as we touched on, other human beings.
Right.
Think about maybe friends giving bad advice, misleading articles, persuasive arguments online, social media influencers pushing certain lifestyles. Even sometimes seemingly religious arguments can be twisted to serve his purpose. He uses people, often unknowingly, as puppets to deliver his waswasa.
That's quite chilling, the idea of human vehicles.
That makes it harder to spot sometimes. And another key tactic, a specific target for him, is often our iman, our faith, specifically in the messenger, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him.
Why the messenger specifically?
Because sometimes undermining the Prophet's authority or the reliability of his teachings, like the hadith, can seem like an easier in than attacking belief in Allah directly. You might whisper doubts framed as, scientific rationalism or skepticism about historical texts.
Trying to chip away at the foundation.
Exactly. Trying to make us doubt the sources that give us the context and practical application of the Quran. Because without the Prophet's example and explanations, the Quran can become much harder to live by.
Okay. And what's his ultimate goal with all this whispering?
Ultimately, his grand objective, one of them at least, is to promote fasha.
Fasha?
Shamelessness, immorality, indecency, transgression. He works subtly to make evil deeds seem attractive, normal, or even beautiful. He wants to erode society's moral compass, bit by bit.
And how does that filter down into everyday life?
It can infiltrate decisions about what we watch, what we listen to, how we speak to each other, how we dress, our financial dealings, our relationships. He tries to normalize things that are harmful or forbidden, often so gradually that we don't even recognize his influence at play.
Okay, it's clear he's relentless and cunning. So, given this constant effort, how do we effectively protect ourselves? What are our main spiritual shields according to this understanding?
The defense is multifaceted, but very powerful and practical. First and foremost, constant remembrance of Allah. Dhikr.
Just keeping God in mind.
Yes. When your heart is full of Allah's remembrance, consciously aware of Him, there's simply no vacant space for Shaitan's whispers to take root. It's like trying to bring darkness into a brightly lit room. It just can't happen.
That makes sense. What else?
Secondly, really embracing true servitude, being an abd of Allah. True humility.
How does that help?
When you genuinely accept your position as Allah's humble servant, recognizing His complete authority and your dependence on Him, Shaitan loses his grip. His main tool is arrogance, right? Humility is the direct antidote. It dismantles Shaitan's leverage over you.
Humility as armor. I like that.
Exactly. And finally, there's a strong connection between spiritual and physical cleansing.
Mm-hmm.
Reciting Surah An-Nas and also Surah Al-Falaq acts as a powerful spiritual cleanse, a verbal shield.
Okay.
But physical purification, like performing wudu, ritual deblution, also acts as a tangible barrier. It reinforces that state of purity and awareness, making it harder for Shaitan's negative influences to penetrate. It's a kind of holistic defense strategy.
Spiritual and physical together. Okay. Now, let's zoom out and tie this all together. If we connect Surah An-Nas back to the very beginning of the Quran, back to Surah Al-Fatiha, you mentioned there's a remarkable relationship there, almost cyclical. How does this final chapter connect back to the first?
Oh, the connections are really profound. They show the incredible coherence of the Quran. For instance, there's a known practice, often attributed to the Prophet, peace be upon him, of reciting Al-Fatiha immediately after finishing the entire Quran, right after An-Nas.
Why do that?
It signifies that the study and recitation of the Quran isn't a linear journey with a definitive endpoint. It's a continuous cycle. You finish, and you immediately begin again seeking guidance anew. It's a lifelong process of learning and discovery.
That's beautiful. What about thematic links?
Thematically, yes, absolutely. Think about Al-Fatiha. It contains the plea, Iyaka nasta'in, you alone we ask for help. It's generally understood as seeking help to accomplish things, to move forward. It's sort of an offensive stance, asking for aid in our endeavors.
Okay, asking for help to do something.
Right. Now look at Surah An-Nas. It begins Qul a'udhu, Say, I seek refuge protection. This is clearly a defensive stance. It's seeking protection from things that would hinder us, that would harm us or lead us astray.
Ah, help to do
Yeah.
versus protection from hindrances.
Exactly. See the beautiful balance, the reciprocity. The Quran begins, in a sense, with a supplication for help and guidance, Al-Fatiha,
Okay.
and it ends with a supplication for protection, An-Nas. Al-Fatiha culminates in asking for guidance, guide us to the straight path, while An-Nas opens by asking for protection from misguidance. It creates this perfect, powerful loop.
That's really neat. Are there structural parallels too?
Yes, structurally as well, both surahs can be seen as having two distinct halves. Al-Fatiha praises Allah and describes his attributes in the first half, then shifts to human pleas and requests in the second half.
Right.
Surah An-Nas, similarly, first identifies who we seek protection from, Rab, Malik, I love mankind, and then specifies what we seek protection from, the evil of the whisperer, from jinn and mankind.
That's a clear parallel.
And another subtle one, pronouns. Al-Fatiha predominantly uses plural pronouns, we worship, guide us. This reflects the communal nature of seeking guidance, the shared journey of the Ummah.
Okay.
But Anas uses the singular, I seek refuge. This highlights that the struggle against Shaitan's whispers, while a universal human experience, is ultimately a profoundly individual battle fought within each person's own heart and mind.
Wow. That's quite nuanced.
It is. And one more. Anas explicitly names two individual sources of evil influence, the jinn whisperer and the human whisperer. This kind of mirrors Al-Fatiha's mention of two collective groups who represent negative influences, those who have earned your anger and those who have gone astray.
So many layers connecting the beginning and the end.
It truly brings it full circle.
So it really does all seem to point back to the same fundamental struggle then, the one laid out right from the start in Al-Fatiha.
Absolutely. It all circles back to Shaitan's original mission, his very first whisper to Adam and Eve in the garden. What was his goal? To divert them from the straight path that we ask for guidance onto in Al-Fatiha.
Right, the path of obedience.
Precisely. You remember what that first whisper led to. Besides disobedience, it led to their nakedness being exposed. It led to fasha, shamelessness.
Yeah.
And that, as we discussed, remains a primary target for him today. Promoting shamelessness to lead people away from the straight path.
It's all connected.
It really is. And all of this just powerfully underscores again and again the immense ongoing importance of dua supplication, seeking Allah's help and protection. It isn't just a ritual. It's our active, constant, most potent defense in this ongoing struggle.
Wow. We've really journeyed through the depths of Surah An-Nas today, uncovering its linguistic brilliance, those surprising connections back to the very beginning of the Quran, and maybe most importantly, its invaluable practical lessons for navigating both the external pressures we face and our own internal struggles. And this deep dive, it really isn't just about discussing an ancient text, is it? It offers you, the listener, a really powerful, actionable framework for self-protection, for becoming more spiritually aware, and for understanding that subtle, constant battle against temptation in your daily life.
Absolutely. So maybe the final thought for everyone listening is this. As you go about your day, how aware are you really of those subtle whispers? The ones from outside, yes, but maybe more critically the ones bubbling up from within. And knowing what we've discussed, what concrete steps will you take starting today to keep that door to your heart truly locked, to remember Allah more consciously, and to embrace the strength that comes from true humility?